Howdy folks, welcome to the PNW Vibe YouTube channel. If you've been following along with the turbo Honda build that I've been doing, then you know that the engine is currently out of the car.
I can jack it now. All right, turn around. I don't like doing that in front of you.
At the machine shop, and last I checked in with you guys, it was awaiting some forged rods and pistons. Now we've gotten all those parts to the machine shop and they're already started working on that engine. So you've probably heard me mention already that we're doing the Vitara build. It uses the Suzuki Vitara pistons, that's why it's called the Vitara build. But you may be wondering, what is a Vitara build? Well, today we're gonna talk about that. I've been doing a ton of research online trying to figure out all the odds and ends and everything I need to know about the Vitara build. Now none of this is my information, but it is all out there and it's all available in the forums, and I'm here today to share it with you guys. So let's get right into it. So what is the Vitara build? Well, in basic terms, the whole concept of the Vitara build is basically bump your compression down, forged rods and pistons, forged bottom end, and of course, a turbo. Of course, it is a little more complicated than just that, so let's go over this. First things first, the Vitara build is based on the D16 platform. Now, it can be done using a VTEC or a non-VTEC head. In my case, I'm using a non-VTEC head. Now, the beauty of this build is the D series engine platform. It's not as highly sought after of an engine as the H or the K series platforms are. So you can get yourself a mid-90s to early 2000s Honda Civic with the D16 in it, a VTEC or non-VTEC, for pretty darn cheap because there's not as many people out there going after these cars and trying to turn them into race cars. But the list of Honda engines that have good aftermarket support is long, and the D-Series engines are no exception. There's tons of parts out there for them. So the first thing on the list is to get ourselves a 1990s to early 2000s Honda Civic. Check. After you get your car sorted out and before you start ordering any fun go fast parts, you're gonna need to get the engine figured out. Now, whether you're going to be buying a new block or you're gonna be pulling a block out of a junkyard, or you're gonna be pulling your engine out of the car to reuse it for the build, send it out to the machine shop, all that jazz, you're gonna need to figure out how to get your engine out of the car, which is not very hard. I got a video on how to do that. I'll leave a little button for it somewhere right around here, and I'll leave a link down in the description to that video. So after you get the engine on out of the car, you're gonna need to get it prepped for the machine shop. So that's gonna basically just consist of getting it all cleaned up, getting all the bolts and all the studs taken off of it, and getting your block, girdle, and crankshaft, and your head if you're gonna get it resurfaced, getting all that stuff on down to the machine shop. So from there, the machine shop is gonna evaluate and measure all your engine components, and they're gonna determine how much material they need to take off your engine and what steps need to be taken to bring your engine components back up to spec. So, and basically that means how much material they need to remove off of the various parts of your engine. Once your machinist knows that, then they're gonna reach back out to you and they're gonna let you know what parts to order. Now, in my case, they took 20 thou off the cylinder bores and they took 10 thou off the crankshaft. So my pistons will be 20 thousandths of an inch oversized, and my rod bearings will be 10 thousandths of an inch oversized to make up for the undersized crankshaft. So, like I said, your machine shop will reach out to you and they'll let you know everything that you need to order. All right, let's briefly talk about the parts that you're gonna need at this stage. So far, all I needed to get started on the machine work was, of course, my block, the engine components, and then for this Vitara build specifically, I think forged rods from Speed Factory, the forged, no notch, H-beam rods from Speed Factory are the absolute way to go. They're really good price and they come in a kit with the exact pistons you need, which are the YCP Vitara pistons. They're forged aluminum pistons, so they're gonna be able to hold some power, and they're a really good price. I mean, that's what you need for this build. They bring the compression down from, I think, 9.5 to 1, which is OEM, and they bump it down to 8.5 to 1. So we got our YCP Vitara pistons, we got our Speed Factory rods, and go ahead and talk to your builder. Like I said, what size bearings you need. My machinist recommended ACL or King bearings, so I got a little bit of both. I was only able to get a hold of ACL rod bearings, and I was able to get a hold of some King main bearings, so that's what I got. Now that is going to be the main building blocks of the Vitara build. So other than that, it's really just going to be components to get your engine put back together, like head gaskets, seals, head studs, all that sort of stuff. All that should be replaced once you get the engine back and you start putting it together, replace all that stuff, and then you'll have a nice, solid, fresh engine with forged internals to throw back into the car, and then you can start piecing together your turbo kit. But I'm getting ahead of myself. At this point, as far as price goes, you really should only be looking at spending $500-600 on the rods and pistons kits, depending on where you get it from. I highly recommend purchasing it just directly from Speed Factory. They have the best shipping options and they have the best customer service. You're gonna be able to actually get a hold of a real person there as opposed to ordering them on eBay. So go ahead and go with those guys. Get all those parts over to the machine shop. So at this point, we should have everything for the rotating assembly back from the machine shop, and we can get started on building our 300 horsepower, 1.6 liter engine. Things like your timing belt, tensioner, water pump, gaskets, head studs, all that stuff should be replaced at this point so that when we get the engine back in the car, we have a nice fresh engine to start our turbo build on. And now we need to decide what computer we're gonna go with. Something like a Honda is a great option if you're balling on a budget. Those things are really good and they're tried and true. But in today's day and age, I don't think that that's the best option anymore. If you want to leave the door open for major upgrades on down the line, like coil on plug, drive-by-wire, or heck, maybe you want to do an engine swap at some point in the future, or at least you want to leave the door open for those possibilities. Something like a Haltech might be what you want to look into. For those reasons that I just listed, I'm going to be going with a Haltech Elite 750. And here's the cool thing. Haltech offers a ton of different plug-and-play adapters for a lot of the common cars out there. But if you're doing a build on a less common or a less desirable car, like a 1997 Honda Civic with a D16 in it, well then you're not going to be getting a plug-and-play harness from Haltech. And it used to be the case that you would have to painstakingly go through all those wires and create your own adapter harness to go from your car's wiring to your Haltech ECU, which you could still do and save a little bit of money. But there are also companies out there like the one that I bought my ECU through that will make you a custom harness for your car. They offer them for the D series engines, and they offer them specifically for the 97 Civic that I'm working on. And that company that I went through is RC Auto Works, and I highly recommend you guys go over and check them out. I'm not getting paid to say any of this. I didn't get any special deals. Their customer service and the product that they offer is just that good that I couldn't not let you guys know about them. So head on over to rcautoworks.com. Use the chat function if you need it. If you have any questions, you'll be talking to a real person. Their customer service is impeccable. And they also have a YouTube channel, so check that out. They have a ton of good videos with really invaluable information. If you're trying to build a Honda race car like I am, then the information they have on their YouTube channel is just invaluable. Now that we have our engine sorted out and we have our computer picked out, we really at this point, well, we should have probably known all along, but at this point we really want to have nailed down what our power goals are going to be. Like I said earlier, in my case, we're going for 300, maybe 350 horsepower if we're feeling spicy. But really at this point, you want to have your power goals worked out because we need to be able to pick a turbo and a fuel system to support our power goals. So obviously, at this point, we need to know that. Now, a lot of people like to go with the eBay turbo kits because they include a lot of different things and a lot of the different bits and bobs that you may need that you probably aren't thinking of. But they don't include everything. And in most cases, you can save yourself a little bit of money if you just piece together your own turbo kit. Like in my case, I was able to pick up this turbo manifold for 25 bucks and this fuel rail for 50 bucks. I think this is like a Skunk 2 fuel rail or something like that. And this is just, I don't know, some eBay turbo manifold, but these are like 100 bucks brand new, and these are like 150 to 200 bucks. There's a ton of people on Facebook Marketplace that either blew their Honda up and still have a ton of good parts, or they bought all the parts for their turbo kit and never got around to putting it together, and they want to unload all that crap and get a little bit of their money back. So buy stuff off of them. Try to get a good deal. All right, let's go over the rest of the parts that I'm gonna need and the rest of the parts that you're gonna need once you get to this point. So we're just gonna start rattling them off. We have intercooler and intercooler piping, blow-off valve, turbo manifold, turbo, boost controller, wastegate. We need a fuel pump, fuel lines, fuel injectors, and a fuel pressure regulator, basically a fuel system. And you're gonna need a fuel rail. You're probably not gonna wanna do this all on your stock fuel rail. It's a little bit easier if you get an aftermarket one. You don't have to drill and tap holes or anything like that. We also need oil feed lines and oil return lines. We need wideband O2 sensor, and we need a brain for that. The Haltech Elite 750 doesn't come with a wideband O2 sensor. You gotta buy that stuff separately, so keep that in mind. We also need an adjustable cam gear, and we're gonna want a block guard. Now, ideally, you would have bought the block guard before you assembled the engine because that needs to go inside the engine. Keep that in mind. You're gonna need this before you put the engine together. Alrighty, and one last thing that I want to go over. I made a list of all the parts that I bought so far. That list that I just gave you is pretty much all the parts that I still need. There's a couple things on there that I have already. Like the turbo manifold, a couple parts of the fuel system and the block guard, as well as a clutch and stuff like that, because if you're gonna make some power, your stock clutch is not gonna hold that. But let's just go over real quick how much we've spent so far, which is fun for me. Alrighty, so we have the 97 Honda Civic Coupe, Haltech Elite 750, machine work, Speed Factory rods and YCP pistons that came in a kit. We have the ACL race rod bearings, the King Race main bearings, thrust washers, Felpro head gasket set, as well as a couple other gaskets. We also got a timing belt kit, head studs, fuel rail, turbo manifold, clutch, cam gear, and a block guard. So, let me add those up real quick and I will present you guys with the grand total. With all that, we are looking at $5,374, and you can bet we still probably have another $1,500 to $2,000 to go, maybe even more. So that is it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to learn more about building a 300 horsepower Honda Civic, head on over to my channel and check out the series that I'm making right now on how to do just that. Alrighty, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.